From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime. We've been covering in depth the true crime case of Sebastian Rogers, a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home. There's not a lot of new information coming out about that. We're doing a review, and we're also doing map work right now to identify locations. I will be back on site at the end of July, the beginning part of August, related to the searching for Sebastian and identifying additional areas. This is a case that's highly disturbing to me. We have a lot of parents that do a lot of horrible things to their children, and this couple here is no different. They are a couple. This is LaShonda Wilder and Johanna Lowe, and they are accused of reporting their 8-year-old missing, and the 8-year-old was found inside a trash bag in the attic. We don't know any other information about the condition of this child, other than he's no longer with us, and it appears that he had compressions around the throat region. So very highly disturbing. They tried to get away with this, and they ended up turning themselves in after going on the run for just a little bit. I found so many stories like this morning, guys. This is one that I could cover on TikTok. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're going to have one that's highly, highly disturbing for everybody. I have to be very careful on how I explain the case, and it's coming from my own hometown, right here in Manatee County. My sheriff, Rick Wells, I know personally, made the arrest. And so it is very highly disturbing. It's going to come almost to the end of this segment. But next we have on the to discuss is Rex Heuermann. Okay, Rex Heuermann, many of us know, he is the Long Island serial unaliver. I don't want to say the word because apparently it triggers. I don't know why we have to use word salad here on TikTok, but apparently there's too many emotional people that can see, that we can say know what we mean when we say but we just can't say the full word. It just seems so stupid. Again, don't understand it, but it is what it is. Rex Heuermann is is allegedly the Gilgo Beach, and you guys see it up there. He was originally charged with 3 counts of murder against 3 of the original 4 Gilgo, because we have the Gilgo 4. And so 3 of the ladies he was charged with almost immediately, and I believe that was Melissa Bartholomew, Amber Costello, and Megan Waterman. And then he was charged later with Moraine Brainer Barnes. And these are the victims. Let me find the victims here. I got them somewhere. I guess I didn't take a picture of them. But it all started with Shannon Gilbert. Shannon Gilbert was an escort that went to a different area, and there was some commotion in that very private upscale area. She ended up disappearing. There was a massive search for her. They didn't find her. Then a cop, he was doing some training with his dog, decided to walk the Gilgo Beach where she disappeared from. And that's when they made the gruesome discovery of the original 4. From that point forward, they just seemed like they were going out there every single day, unearthing more remains from different individuals than the ones that they originally thought were missing. Well, since then, he's gone back to court because he was charged with an additional 2 other people. And so now we have Rex Heuermann charged with the original 3, then the 4th one was added, and now 2 additional ones have been linked to him by DNA evidence. This right here is Jessica Taylor. She is the next person that he was charged with. And then, of course, we have after that, this right here is Sandra Costello. She was the 6th victim that he is accused of unaliving. Now, this, again, is a predator. He's been preying on these type of women for 3 decades. This is no joke. His wife has a Paramount or a Peacock, $1 million Peacock deal. So she's been visiting him. She's been having conversations. She's sharing some of their past history, photos, things like that. And it's a little bit, I have to be honest with you, just highly disturbing to say the least. And there was some information that had come out that his daughter's DNA had surfaced on some things, I believe. I'm going to have to take a deep dive in because I stepped away from this case just a little bit. I was actually going to cover it when I went to New York. However, my trip to New York has been faltered a little bit. There's been a change of plans. This is your update on all the major cases that we have been covering. If you guys know Alec Murdaugh, I have been in this case almost from the beginning. I have behind the gates. I actually went into the area that Alec allegedly unalived his son and his wife and got a private preview of that area. I went to his trial, the trial for his son and wife. I was at the auction. I personally attended just about every aspect of Alec Murdaugh's case from the beginning to the end, including his financial crimes. I was out there when he was being sentenced to his financial crimes. I was in the courtroom when Becky Hill went up there and lied to the judge. And I know for a fact she lied. I could tell she lied. She was not, did she sway the jury? Thank God she didn't. But she surely was not handling her business like she should have been handling her business. One thing that I found out, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, is although a lot of his stuff has kind of winded down, he's behind bars, he's not getting out for a significant amount of time, if at all, for the rest of his life. Hopefully he'll be behind bars. He does have some appeals and appeal process that he is going to be going through. But I found this interesting because we're now learning about the insurance company and how they believe this happened. Well, it's kind of weird because the insurance company had actually suspected that Alec Murdaugh had planned or plotted to steal this money from the housekeeper's estate. They have notation because he was so eager to accept liability. And that is really, really concerning for an insurance company that's trying to mitigate their damages, right? And so the insurance company, no, he did not. He got life, double life. The insurance company actually asked him to stop admitting culpability. It was a little crazy. So several years before Alec Murdaugh was criminally charged with stealing millions from the estate of the family of ex-housekeeper, a group of lawyers and insurance agents sensed something was afoot. Gloria Satterfield, who had worked for decades doing chores and babysitting for the Murdaughs, died February 2018 from a trip and fall at the Moselle property, the family's Colton County hunting property. Murdaugh, a wealthy personal injury attorney from Low Country legal dynasty, made suggestions to her surviving son to bring a wrongful death suit against him. Payouts from his insurance policy would cover Satterfield's medical expenses and then some. Those working on the insurance case asked Murdaugh to stop admitting fault. Satterfield's medical records did not suggest the dogs contributed to her death. They said perhaps the wrong death claim could be avoided. And they were acutely aware of the stake of the case involving the Murdaugh, and the insurance company refused to use a mediator, part of the settlement negotiations in Beaufort or Hampton, citing Murdaugh's prominence in the close-knit community. So they knew something was afoot, and they kind of basically ignored it for a variety of reasons. They can only do so much without, and they could tell him to quit admitting fault. Doesn't mean he has to do that. There's no order to force him. They did not insure him ever again, and he had to find some other insurance, which actually did him a disservice whenever he was going into the Mallory Beach case, because all of his insurance, his high net insurance, was used on Gloria Satterfield, and he couldn't get that high net insurance premiums, low enough for him to afford. So he started cutting some of his insurance costs. And then when Mallory Beach lost her life because of his son in the boating accident, he didn't have really, he had $500,000 in insurance proceeds. He didn't have anything to give the family unless he was going to dig into his own pocket, and he was not going to do that. Do I believe this man has the money? I do. There's a lot of things that not even courts can pierce. And some of those are annuities, different types of retirement vehicles that give you a stream of income for life. This is exactly what was that football star? Why can't I remember? He was just on the tip of my tongue. The Goldman and why can't I remember his name? The football star that allegedly unalived his wife and her boyfriend or something like that. It seems like it's O.J. Simpson. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. O.J. Simpson, if you guys remember, whenever the Goldman family as well as the Brown family were coming after him, he actually put a lot of his wealth into annuities for an income stream for life, because that's the one thing the courts would not be able to penetrate. And he was very smart like that. I keep wondering, because we believe that there is an attorney that's done some swift, hiding for him. And I feel like there's another attorney that might be culpable in his scheme to defraud people. I truly believe that Alec Murdaugh knows where this money is. I don't think he spent it all on substances. So there's more to come when it comes to this case. But we're hearing rumblings that there is, the money hasn't all been spent, that there is something. We just need to locate it. Going to be interesting if they find something, huh? I believe he is hiding it. All right. This is a case that's near and dear to me. Many of you guys may not have remembered this case, may not have been involved in this case. This is Michael Monkey Vaughan. He disappeared shortly after Summer Wells. He disappeared from Fruitland, Idaho, and there was some neighbors, the Wandras, as well as their two friends, that may be responsible for this child disappearing. There was a search of their home. There was a lot of information and intel that led police to believe that he was not only buried in the backyard of this neighbor's home, but also removed and disposed of elsewhere. They've never been able to find Michael Monkey Vaughan. And the case has gone to the district attorney's office once before. Now, of March of this year, this was the second time this case had been handed over to the prosecution's office, the state prosecutor's office, to file charges against the 4 individuals that they believe are responsible for the disappearance and the death of Michael Monkey Vaughan. It is believed that he is gone. That was called a significant time ago. The attorney, J.D. Huff, the chief of police out there in Fruitland, Idaho, very nice guy, got to meet him personally, and he has evidence that this child's no longer. And we learned of Sarah Wandra being arrested for failing to report the death of a child. And when we broke that case, I did not realize that JD Huff, because it was public information, I went through the right channel, but JD had not yet told the mother. And some of the other content creators picked up my story and sent it over to, well, actually called her to be put on a live broadcast, and then dropped this bombshell with her on a live broadcast, and then tried to turn around and blame me for that. And I'm like, she wasn't even watching my channel, and you brought her on your channel on a live broadcast to let that lady break down for your channel. This is the disgusting behavior of some content creators. And that content creator tried to blame me for that, for breaking a case, but she was the one that tortured the mother. So it was really disheartening to see that happen, but I had not known. And even if I had known, would it have stopped me from running with the story? No, it wouldn't. We do run stories. We bring breaking news to our channels all the time. And this was one of those cases where this was breaking news. Somebody had been arrested for failing to report a death of a child. That child happened to be Michael Monkey Vaughan. And I can't imagine what his mother has been going through. She was starting to be accused. There was internet people that weren't treating her very kind. This channel was not one of them. And I had an opportunity to meet with her, and people online terrified this woman for meeting with me. And I guarantee we worked hard for her and her son. We did much like we do in every case that we go out to. We post flyers and banners as many places as possible. And I got to tell you, this community was peppered with Michael's face everywhere, on every pole, anywhere you walk. This was a year later. A year later, this boy's face was still all over this community. Everybody knew that this child was missing. Much different than what we're dealing with in Hendersonville, Tennessee, where it doesn't seem like their community, their law enforcement, or the parents, the mom and the stepfather, I want to exclude Seth from that statement, just don't seem to really care for this child. I went into a community that had no ribbons for him, no green ribbons, no signs, nothing that screams that they give a damn about this child, their neighbor. And it was quite disgusting and appalling to me. Shame on that whole freaking community. Seriously, whoever lives in that community, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. You all have kids in there. Shame on you. Sorry. Not sorry. This is one of the kids that right here, a mother and a father fought like hell to try to find answers to, and their heart was ripped out of their chest. So now we're praying and hoping, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I was hoping to have some news that they're moving forward with the charges, okay? We're not getting that. We're in July now. This was presented to the district attorney in March. Now, granted, it's probably a lot of information that needs to go over, and certain charges can't be taken lightly. There's a lot of stuff. But I was hoping that we'd have some type of update, press conference, news release, or something that this is moving in the right direction. I haven't seen any of that. I haven't heard from the mom or anything. It's not like her and I were really tight, but at least I did good for her and by her when I was out there. But I hope that they're keeping her up to date with some information, because if it's this nerve-wracking for me, I can't imagine what his mother and father must really be going to. And look at that beautiful face. And it just makes you wonder, why would anybody want to snatch a little boy? I don't even want to begin to go over that. Oh, we'll be going over this in just a second. So many of you guys know this beautiful face. This is Joselyn Nungaray. She was a 12-year-old girl in Texas, and she was abducted by two illegal individuals here in our country. And those two individuals arred her and unalived her. A 12-year-old girl. She did not deserve this. She had her whole entire life ahead of her, and she is no longer here because of what's going on at the border. But that's not the kicker. This is what's going to upset you even more. This gentleman, which is one of the people that there was two men. This right here is Johanna Jose Martinez Rangel. If I'm saying it right, I do, butcher names. This right here is one of the guys that are accused and arrested of doing these things, these horrific things to this young, beautiful, aspiring little girl. A 12-year-old little girl. Grown-ass man here. Little girl. This is what we're finding out. And this is what's so highly disturbing. This man is reportedly a socialite's son over in Venezuela. He's accused of unaliving Joselyn. News report, Daily Mail reports, social media comments indicate Martinez Rangel is the son of Nazareth Rangel Palacios, if I'm pronouncing that right, which is in support of the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro. My question is why is an elitist's son breaking into our country? What is his real purpose for being here? What is his real purpose for being here? This right here has me highly disturbed that we have an elitist that's associated with the president of Venezuela breaking into our country. Renhel, thank you, Squirrely Garcia, thank you, I appreciate that. This is a major problem for me. And what in the world is going on, and what are we going to do about it? Now, before we get started, I have another very disturbing case for you guys today, and then we're going to get on to Taylor Casey's case and Sebastian Rogers' case, and give you guys just some quick updates on that. This is a case coming directly out of my county. This right here is a pastor of a local church in Palmetto, Florida. And he is being charged with the unthinkable, not just the unthinkable, but a performance, the performance aspect, and that the victim, only 2 years old. I am highly upset. Like, I recognize this guy's face, but never seen him or know him. But his face looks ultra familiar to me. And I don't know why. And this, yes, Garcia, yes, a pastor. So I actually sent this article to myself, and I'm going to try to read this the best I can. There are going to be some things that I can't read, or you're going to have to read between the lines, okay? Because this is a very sensitive topic, as you guys can imagine. So I'm going to get you the nuts and bolts of what happened here. This man is absolutely, in my opinion, eligible for the DP in my state. We just changed the laws. If you do this to a child, we get you gone too, okay? I'm just telling you, we are Florida. We don't play with our children or our women. I wish the rest of the country would get on board with our policing style, but I would never live in any other state in the United States other than Florida, because I love the law here. Is it perfect? Of course not. Do I agree with it 100%? Hell to the nah. But you know what? When we have bad guys, we know how to get rid of bad guys. Especially ones that hurt our 2-year-old children and record themselves doing it. Hey, River, it's nice to see you, my love. A Southern Baptist pastor in Florida is now facing 18 felony counts after explicit photos were found on his phone, including one of him repeatedly essaying a toddler. John Elwing. This is the man's photo. This is the man. I want to make sure you guys get to see him, because his face needs to be plastered. If you guys know this man or had your children around this man, I'm going to ask you to stop what you're doing and call the Manatee County Sheriff. I doubt that this is his only victim. We don't know where he's from. He could be from a different state. There are probably multiple victims in and around this man's life for a very, very, very long time. These are not things that just automatically happen. Okay? He was the senior pastor of Palm View First Baptist Church in Palmetto and was arrested by Manatee County Sheriff's Office on June 21st on 4 counts of possession of material depicting child SA. The same day prior to being arrested, he resigns as pastor from the South Baptist Convention affiliated church. 6 days later, following a forensic review of Elwing's cell phone and computers, authorities added 14 additional charges. Elwing has been additionally charged with 2 counts of capital. This is the DP eligible, of SA of a child under 12. 6 counts of production of child SA materials, 6 counts of possession of child SA materials. This is one sick pup around our children, acting like he praises God. Makes me sick. The devil in sheep's clothing, right here. This is the devil in sheep's clothing. My question is, there's always much material. What are they doing with it? Sick. Yeah, I don't know. It is sick. It is sick. Cat, it is absolutely sick. I don't know where these people think this stuff. I don't know how this turns anybody. This is disgusting to me. This is like just disgusting. There's nothing joy it's gross. It's absolutely gross. Police say Elwing used his private photo vault app on his phone to hide at least 14 pictures of him SAing. Pictures of him SAing a 2-year-old. Manatee County Sheriff Rick Wells stated that 10 covert cameras had been found in Elwing's home and in his church office. There are some concerns he may have been hiding those cameras inside the church, said Wells. On the weekend during the school, the church hosts Educational Harbor, an accredited K-12 Christian school. He had access to all those children as senior pastor. The sheriff told, and I want everybody to pay attention to this aspect of it, because don't think people ain't looking and don't think your cryptocurrency ain't being watched. The sheriff told media that a cryptocurrency company tipped off investigators that Elwing had purchased CSAM content on the dark web. Deputies obtained a warrant and searched Elwing's home the next day. I can't stress enough, this is a monster, says Wells. This is a man who went to great lengths to hide his true identity, to use whatever resources he could to feed his deviant behaviors that he has. Elwing has publicly spoken out against the SBC implementing sex SA reform, stating in February 2023 post on X that it would be the end of the SBC. Also, the first reported church leaders Elwing had been involved with denominational politics, and the SB, which is the South Baptist Convention, I think, includes an affiliation with Founder Ministries led by Florida pastor Tom Askell. Palmview has been listed as among founders the gospel preaching, Christ exalting churches, but was removed from that last week. Wow. In my own backyard, we can never be safe enough with our children, not even in churches. We need to be having conversation with our children. We never, I was always told a long time ago, even before I was young, you really want your children talking before you send them to daycare. It's very hard on families, very extremely hard on families to, lose one income in the house. But what's the true cost and risk of not having a family member or somebody you absolutely trust with your whole entire life, taking care of your child? I don't think that children should be going to, I know a lot of people have no choice and, you got to do what you have to do. So I don't want anybody feeling bad that they have to do what they have to do. We just got to kind of white knuckle it sometimes. That's life. But if you have the ability, keep those children out of daycares or anything where they're alone until they can talk. You want your child telling you anything and everything that's going on. You never want to be deceived by a child that doesn't communicate. And if, God forbid, you have a child with autism or nonverbal, I don't know what to even recommend. Like, I just wouldn't trust anybody around this day and age. This day and age, there's something infecting our people, and I don't know what it is. There is this gross, disgusting underbelly of society, mostly men, that have this disgusting appetite that they do. But this is one of those people. And he happens to be a pastor. And I'm sorry, pastors don't get free passes. As a matter of fact, they should be hit harder than anybody else because they are a person of authority. And they are presenting themselves as godly. It's deception. It's deception. We started covering this case of Taylor Casey, and I'm going to continue to cover her case because I feel really bad for the family. The family, she's not a child. She's a 41-year-old woman that went over to the Bahamas to go to this yoga retreat. She was aspiring to have her, become her own yoga instructor. It seemed like she really took care of herself. She was very fit, really, centered as a person. She seemed very bright. She seemed like she was like this really shining, bright star, It just seemed like she had this bubbly personality that everybody loved. She seemed like she had this infectious smile. And she has a loving family that is very, very concerned for her because she disappeared shortly after she went to this retreat. And some of the information that we are hearing is very concerning, such as an unidentified person walking near her tent a night before she went missing with a walkie-talkie. Another man approaching her the day she went missing, saying he's from Chicago, which she just so happens to be from Chicago. And it was a little odd because it felt like they were scoping her out and setting her up and feeding somebody information to make that connection that they're from the same area that she's from. How interesting. How easy is it to bring down somebody's walls, right? Then to act like that you're one of them. I'm from Chicago. Really? How do you like this? How do you like that? This, that, and the other. So she's been missing. This really does sound like an ST or an HT type of, this sounds like trafficking. This sounds targeted. This sounds trafficking. She was tall. She was beautiful. She was slender. It is dangerous, Cindy. It's becoming more and more dangerous. I don't leave the country anymore. I don't go to Canada. I don't go to Mexico. I don't go to the Bahamas. If I want to go to the beach and see, I'll go rent a place on the island, right? There's two ways to skin a cat. If I feel like I'm missing out on the water lifestyle. But she disappeared, and this is one of the ones, usually I gauge, and I'm like, oh man, she's, it sounds a little heartless, but, I gauge these things very much up front, like, oh, she's probably gone. I think we all do, whether you admit it or not. I don't care. I admit everything, right? I think we're human. So I naturally judge things judge the book by its cover. I'll be honest. I am that person. So reading this initially, the first thing I thought of was not that she was gone. The first thing I thought of whenever I heard about this case is that she's that she's abducted, that she was kidnapped, that she was I feel like somebody from the retreat notified somebody about her information, or somebody inside the retreat that befriended her to learn about her information. Something was shared with somebody. There was walkie-talkies and there was a man from Chicago. And I don't believe that man was really from Chicago. That's my point. I believe that he used that to break down her walls. He knew she was from Chicago, in my opinion. And so you're only going to acquire that information from one of two ways. Somebody inside that retreat that was there as a guest, or somebody inside that retreat that was there as an employee. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. But I don't feel like she's gone. I don't feel like she's unalived. I feel like she has been put into the black market. That's what I feel. And so I hope that her face goes far and wide. We need this to go all over the world, because she could be anywhere all over the world. After watching that movie, Sound of Freedom, right? We know this exists in this world. And we know people are abducted in other countries to traffic. I truly believe that this is one of those things. We set up a mysterious disappearance of Taylor Casey discussion group. We're increasing in membership. It's not, it doesn't have hundreds or thousands of people in it. I think we're still just shy of 100 people in this community right now. We are trying to build it up. We are trying to bring awareness to Taylor Casey's case. It's not getting a lot of notoriety, but it needs to be, because the family is calling for our government to get involved, and our government's not getting involved. They're getting very angry with the Bahamas, with the retreat owners and organizers. They're being shut down every which way they go. Something is majorly going on here. Oh, Chasen, it's nice to see you, my love. It's there's definitely something going on in this case, and we really need to be focusing on there and getting some information. We may have to start, I need people over here, because we may have to start writing campaigns to the FBI, to our U.S. Department of Justice. We might have to be doing something to help this family out. I'm monitoring this case very closely, but we are advocates for these cases, and that means we have action behind everything that we do when it comes to these cases. This family is begging for our country to get involved and help them locate their loved one. Nobody should ever be in fear of going to a retreat and disappearing. And God forbid, many of us travel, right? There's many of you that have passports. This should hit anybody that owns a passport, has ever been out of this country. This should hit you like a ton of bricks. You should want to make sure that we do everything we can for this woman. Why? Because it could have been you. It could have been you. Anybody that holds that passport. It could have been you. So we want to fight for situations like this more so than anything, because our fight is not with policing and stuff with that. Our fight is getting the government on board to help this family. And that's where we need to be. So that's kind of everything that we have on her. Let me see where I'm at with my and I just want everybody to know that she is missing. This is the Royal Bahama Police Force. They've got the missing person flyer. They designed it, but apparently they don't know how to post it up anywhere, because it wasn't anywhere in the community. It wasn't even on their wall of missing people, which concerns me, that there's a wall with lots of missing people on it, according to the family. That's what they said. Because they were upset that their daughter wasn't on there, and I wasn't upset that their daughter wasn't on there. I was upset that there was so many on the board. How can this be? That means there's a lot of people disappearing from the Bahamas. You may want to consider that. That might be a cesspool for this HT. I'm just saying. It is going on all over the country. Or all over the world. You have to be careful for yourself. Sebastian Rogers, obviously, is a 15-year-old boy that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and has not been seen or heard from since. This is Sebastian Rogers. I have a lot of concerns with this case. I did almost an hour and a half live. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I did almost an hour and a half live breaking down some much-needed inconsistencies with what Chris and Katie have been saying throughout this process when it comes to Sebastian Rogers. This right here has me highly concerned, and one of those situations was the interview with Nancy Grace. And in this interview, we learned that Christopher Proudfoot had not been home since early February. That prior months to this situation, he came home regularly, but something happened where in February, it appears that he stopped making those trips home. And I truly believe that this was when he gave Katie the ultimatum. It's the son or it's him. And he stayed gone. And then all of a sudden, her son disappears. Her life gets back on track. Her husband is happy. She's living her best life ever. And she has a new daughter that has no problems whatsoever. Chris had not been home. This is a clear bruise on his neck. This was the last photo that was taken of Sebastian. This photo was taken at the Costco's the Saturday before he disappeared. There's no way that this bruise right here could have been put on him by Christopher Proudfoot. It is very problematic for me whenever I see or hear Katie around Faith. This woman has the biggest smile on her face. The absolute biggest smile on her face with this child. This woman should not be around any child. Period. let alone picking up and holding somebody else's child. This child is not even hers. Not by blood, not by anything. And she is so happy to be holding a perfect little girl. It made me sick. Where's Sebastian Rogers? I hope each and every one of you guys go over to my YouTube channel and watch last night's live. It was very good. I felt like we broke down a lot of key information, and it was all information from Chris and Katie. It was all of their words. It was all of their interviews. It was putting it all together for you and talking about key details, such as the 3-hour conversation that all of us have questions about. It's about Sebastian potentially walking out the door. It's the suspicious behavior of Katie and Chris. My YouTube channel is Bullhorn Betty. I have 2 of them. My larger channel is Bullhorn Betty, and my smaller channel is Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. You might want to sub up to both of them. The Crime Stories is really just a laid-back channel, so I'll just go on there and just shoot the breeze with my audience and just talk about wherever we discuss. You know, we just kind of just have an open conversation. But my main channel is really dedicated for these cases and stuff like that. So if you like to have the open conversation, you might want to hit up this Crime Stories channel. But if you just like this type of format, you're going to want to hit YouTube. This live here will be broadcasted on YouTube probably in about an hour or 2 from this channel, so we can capture it and people can go back to it and read it. But this is one of the most disturbing photos that I've seen of many, because we not only have her, you know, acting bizarre here, we've got her running away from home, we've got her eating barbecue when searches is going on, we've got her shopping for motorcycles, and of course we have her all over a child shortly after her son disappears. When Chris gave her the ultimatum, it's either your son or me. He does not want her son around his daughter. He thinks her son is going to hurt his daughter. And then all of a sudden, Sebastian leaves. They get their daughter, and Sebastian will never, ever be around her to hurt her. These are problems for me. Their life seemed to go right along as soon as Sebastian was gone. They wanted to throw that boy away and act like he didn't exist and move as quickly on with their life as possible. That is a problem for me. Okay, well then don't ever come back here again, Mr. Jason. I don't need you here. Trust me, I'm not a clicks and views type of person. I travel this country. Sorry, but people are going to pay attention. And I actually bring facts. Just saying. So it doesn't matter if it's clickbait or not, right? The bottom line is I'm bringing the shit and I'm bringing the facts. And these are the facts. Look at that woman's face. You can't deny real, right? You cannot deny real. Ed costs 0 to be respectful. Well, we deal with children, adult children on here. And they wonder why their children are starting to unalive them. Can't see why. I didn't bring those on. We've got a 17-year-old that literally is going to jail for 40 years for unaliving his mother, putting her in the trunk of his car and driving her across state lines. This is the environment we're in, where parents are unaliving their children and children are unaliving their parents. Just saying. And we wonder where it's coming from. It's probably all the hate on these YouTube streets. Just saying. Oh yeah, it was bad. It's bad. Did anyone see that Taco looks like Sebastian? Are you talking about Uncle Taco? Yeah, I think everybody's, you know, we have crazy names for our uncles when we were growing up and stuff like that, you know. And I think people are making a mountain out of molehill because of a goofy name that was given to somebody. I mean, we all have. I mean, I've had Catfish, I've had Cooter, I've had, you know, there's been a lot of names over the years, you know, that have been nicknamed. And it's like, you know, if we were able to say, like, every nickname is something that has to do with, you know, the keto type of stuff, then come on. I people stretch this crap. They stretch it and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it to make news. That's why people don't like social media. These are drama creators, not true crime creators. I'm sorry. And we have to start differentiating the two. Okay? It's starting to cloud. So I want people to know that this is true crime. We're not into the drama. If they want to be in the drama, then let them be. But we need to differentiate the two. And we're going to be very clear on differentiating the two. Because our audience needs to know that there is a sector of drama that gives BS facts and a bunch of narrative-driven hate. It sucks. They're idiots. You missed a whole lot, but don't worry. If you want to, Stacy, I'm going to be getting off right now. I'm going to be dropping all of this onto my YouTube channel. So this live, you don't have to worry about missing it. I will be going ahead and putting this live onto YouTube. Give it about an hour, hour and a half, and you guys should be able to replay this. So anyways, guys, I really hope Bryson was found safe and his parents are in custody. Thank God. Well, it's good that he's found safe. But, you know, it just seems to me, Katie and Chris, I don't think that theirs is going to end the same. I really don't. I pray to God that Sebastian does come back safely, but he hasn't been on his medication. He has no clothes. He has no food. He has no money. He has no toys. He has nothing. He literally disintegrated. I don't think we're going to be that lucky. And look how quickly they were able to find Bryson. They still haven't found Sebastian. That should tell us a lot. That should tell us a lot. But I'm so thankful to hear that. I'm so thankful to hear that. And hopefully that is, you know, again, somebody says, where did you see that? That's just gave me internal, chills. I'm sad with Sebastian. Yeah. And the parents are being wonky. They keep coming to the people and saying, oh, we want to answer the tough questions. We want to answer the tough questions. Well, where were you on the 26th? Oh, I can't answer that. Okay, well, that wasn't even a tough question. So, you know, they're not really trying to find this kid. They're not trying to find this kid. The only person that I've seen that has given a damn or even a good effort is his father, Seth Rogers. And it really unnerves me that people are still trashing Seth Rogers. So all I got to say is whoever's still trashing Seth Rogers at this point, you're nothing but trash. Okay? You're nothing but trash. And if that offends you, oh freaking well. Oh freaking well. You're trash. This man was at work. He's the only one fighting for this boy. He's the only one that has passed a polygraph test publicly. I mean, anybody still trashing the father, Seth Rogers, they're idiots. And you should probably not be watching them. I'm sorry, but, you know, 2 + 2 = 4, okay? The man was at a jail. He's on camera. He's literally clocked in. He literally has a key card to move his car. Like, his car's in a secured area. He's got to use a key card to get his car in and a key card to get his car out. The idea that this man had anything to do with it is ridiculous at this point. So if you're hearing somebody talking as Seth had anything to do with it, I'm sorry. People don't know how to connect dots. And if you don't know how to connect dots, do you really want to really be listening to them for your content on true crime? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, guys, I love you. God bless you. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. I've got to find out how Seth's surgery went. I hope everybody's been keeping Seth in your prayers. He had major surgery, C5 and C6. He had a discectomy infusion. That is a very uncomfortable. It fuses 2 of your vertebrates together. And it's the exact same surgery I've had, so I'm very familiar with his surgery as well as his recovery. It's not easy, as many of you guys know, but hopefully his pain has been relieved. So guys, I want you to have a great day. We will be back later today to discuss more about our cases as they come up. And if you guys have any missing people, please don't forget, we have a Facebook page, Bullhorn Betty True Crime Facebook page. Please post all of your missing persons over there. We have almost 2,500 people associated with that private group, and we got eyes all over the country and all over the world just from that little group. And if you have a missing person, be sure to be active in that group, passing this stuff on so people can be aware. You never know who's going to see it. and who might have some information to bring a child home. God bless.